Hi, my name is Johnny Gallo, and welcome to That Jesus Thing podcast. And this is my testimony. So it all began back home in Nigeria. So I'm Nigerian, and went to primary school there. Was born there, raised there. Went to high school there. The crazy thing about going to high school there was I actually finished high school when I was 15 years old. So I was very young, and so I skipped grades. I went from grade 5 to grade 7. My mom was principal of the school at the time, so maybe she did something, I don't know. But I had to write an exam to pass to get into high school. But it was crazy. So that meant I actually finished high school quite young. I was maybe 15, like I said. And again, what that also meant was I was not able to do a lot of things that I'm able to do now, or I could have done with other high school leavers. I was not able to drive. I was not able to go anywhere. I had no license, and so I was like, what do I do with my life? Video games. So I just launched into the video game world. I played everything from 2K to FIFA to, and I was still up late playing video games, like from 7, 8, 9 to like 4 a.m. in the morning, 5 a.m. in the morning, just playing video games. Yeah. And it was maybe a couple months later after high school, I realized, okay, what do I want to do with my life? Because I was not young enough, I was not old enough to go. My dad was not going to be happy with me going to uni because I was very young at the time. Imagine going to university at the age of 15. Like, it's crazy. And then I wasn't able to really get into a seminary because I actually discerned. I was throughout my life in high school and since I was born, like really, I've just loved this idea, I guess, of being a priest. I remember my mom will always take me to everything. She'll take me to the different pilgrimages, take me to the different events around the country, and to masses every day. I was an altar server as well, and I was just part of that sort of Catholic world, and I grew up there. And my mom was the head of everything. She was the head of the Catholic Women's Organization, or Women's League as it's called here. She was the head of the Lady Council. She was the head of the Readers. Just like a lot of service, and I saw her just serve, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to be like you. I want to serve like you. Just give your time to the church. And I was like, I want to be a priest. So I was like, I'm going to be a priest. And throughout high school, my head was just fixated on that. But when I finished high school at 15, I was like, well, I can't get into a seminary because I was too young and they wouldn't take me. And I couldn't get into university as well because I was too young. My dad wouldn't allow me to. So again, back to video games, right? So a couple months after that space, that sort of period of just limbo, I thought to myself, there is more to life than this. There's something out there that I want to sort of live for, And so I then once again started discerning. I was maybe 16 at the time or 17 at the time, not sure. And I found the Salesian youth movement. So I was part of that for about a year. And then I discerned again to join a seminary, so to join the Salesians, and I got taken in. I was part of the first years at the time in the formation house, doing mission, doing ministry, and I loved it. It was beautiful. I was like, finally, I'm able to live for something. I'm able to use my time, to serve. And I was also again in that line of discerning priesthood, like I always wanted to. So that was great. And then around that time of just being, part of that formation year at the Salesians, an MGL came from Australia to Nigeria to visit that particular formation house. And at the time, I was in charge of the guest who come into the Salesian, the house. And I took him in. I'm like, hey, where are you from? What do you do? And he's like, oh, I'm an MGL. We're missionaries of God's love, and we are from. We are in Australia, we're in the Philippines, Indonesia, and it's what we do. One of the things that drew me and really caught my attention was when he said the MGLs are really big on allowing one to be themselves, and allowing God to work, in us without having to be something else, if you know what I mean. So I was really excited about what I was hearing. And then he goes to me, hey, do you want to join? Do you want to discern with us? I was like, listen, I don't know, 17, 18 at the time. I was like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm happy to discern. So we called Father Ken Barker and, made it all work. And at the time I was asked to go to the Philippines instead of Canberra. So Philippines was starting up, in the information house there on the MGLs. And so I traveled to the Philippines for my first year with the MGLs. It's a crazy move because, imagine leaving your home at 18 and traveling, all the way to Asia from Africa. It was one of the biggest moves I've ever made. My mom, I had all the lipstick, marks on my shirt because she wouldn't let me go in the airport. She just kept hugging me, kissing me, and very hard for her, to let go, and, incredibly grateful for the kind of strength that she continues to demonstrate in my life. And so it was quite emotional, and, but yeah, made the move to Philippines. And so I land in the Philippines, and new country, new continent, new culture, new world. I'm like, so the first few months I was like, I'm on holiday, yay, I'm just, the honeymoon stage, and freedom from mom and dad. I can just be me for the first time and just, discovering who is John without John's parents, So I got to explore the country, absolutely loved Philippines, the food, everything was beautiful and just bright and happy, joyful. And then after a couple months into that world, into that space, and when the honeymoon phase began to sort of, fizzle out, I plunged, I just went into deep home, what I call extreme homesickness. And I know it was really bad, and I had to really battle for the first time emotions that I was not used to. I was not used to this way of feeling as a person. Now, this was happening at the same time mission was happening in the Philippines, and the mission aspect of it was just absolutely life-giving and just beautiful. I got to really see the world in a new way. I know that there is, economic instability back home, but I was a bit sheltered from that, So when I came to the Philippines and asked to go and do ministry mission in remote areas of the country, in the slum areas, and I was like, whoa. For the first time, my eyes was open, and I was living among people who were struggling really to eat and to feed and to provide for themselves, trying to make ends meet, doing it really tough. So there's this place called Payatas. It is a slum area. Really, it is the site where all the rubbish in Manila at the time, anyway, I'm not sure about now, but at the time, all the rubbish in Manila was dumped in Payatas, and and it was not the air there was not necessarily the best, if you know what I mean, and it was one of those places where there was social instability, and at the same time, that was where I, for the first time, witnessed faith that I'd really never seen the way it was, like this beautiful, deep, profound faith in the people of Payatas in the Philippines. I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing with my life? I got to live with them. I got to eat with them. I got to stay over at their homes. And that was when I began to also understand this whole concept of love and how love transcends language. See, I was new there, I couldn't really, understand the language very well. I could understand bits and pieces here and there, conversational, but I couldn't necessarily converse like just purely in Filipino and Tagalog. And so I couldn't really talk to young people in the streets or at home. And then for me, the concept of love transcending language was just dawned on me. Like simple high fives and smiles were enough for these people. The fact that I've traveled all the way, to Philippines to live with them, to play music for them, the piano, and to sing with them and to praise with them, that was enough for them. And I was like, wow. And so I spent almost a year and a bit even in Payadas, just visiting Payadas and spending time with young people and just being present. The whole idea of the ministry of presence again was revealed to me, like where it's enough for me to just be with them. It reminds me of that passage in the gospel where Jesus, told Zacchaeus, "I am going to have dinner with you tonight." And for Zacchaeus, that was enough. That presence with Christ was enough for him to just sell half of his property and turn away from sin, because Christ was present with him. Christ didn't come, I'm not sure, like it doesn't say in the Bible that he came and preached a lot to whatever it is to Zacchaeus, but he spent time with him, having dinner with him, and that was enough. Presence, for me became something that was like, yeah, wow, okay, this is very important in ministry. During that same time as well, during that same period, I got to travel to other parts of the country, Philippines. I went to Mindoro, beautiful island, and this place is a lot more sort of separate from the city, much more rural area, where we're sleeping on bamboo beds and, you were one with nature. It was just beautiful to just see. At the time, there was no power when I was in this place for about, I'm not sure how many days now, but in the island called, I cannot remember this place. The area is called Mindoro. I can't remember. But anyway, we spent time with the people called Mangyans. They are the indigenous people of Philippines, and it was just beautiful to just witness how they are one with nature and how they just exuded this joy, from having life. They didn't have a lot, but they had a lot at the same time. And we at the time we were asked to build a chapel for them. So we built this beautiful chapel for them. I remember one time we were painting the roof of this chapel, and it was 40 degrees on this roof, and the sun was just on us, beaming down on us, bouncing off the roof to our faces, and we were frying. But at the same time, we were just listening to the kids playing, on the floor, playing soccer, playing games, and that was just enough to go, wow, I'm here, and I'm giving my time to bring about, I guess God's love to these people through this building. And again, the concept of understanding that ministry mission can take different forms. Forms of, it could be just being present with people, and it can also be just being able to provide a chapel for them, or material needs for them, and just really just having that holistic understanding of ministry. And it was beautiful just being there in that island, Mindoro Island. If you've noticed a change in how the video is, the lightings and stuff, that's because it is dark where I am now. I took a massive break in between filming the first part, and now filming this part as well, because I had to do a couple of things in between. But stay with me, please. So finished my time in Mindoro Island. Was incredibly just blessed, being there, and then went back to the city, to the urban area in Manila, and to finish off my year. Now my brothers and I were preparing to move on to Canberra to continue my formation studies, in the novitiate in Canberra, as brothers do in the MGLs. And for some reason, my visa got delayed, and so brothers in the Philippines with me went off, and I was left behind. And that feeling of being left behind, coupled with the extreme homesickness I was feeling before, as well, that just for some reason just brought me into a deeper, place of despair, and depression. And it was when, and again, I had no idea what these emotions were. Back home, I didn't really, we don't talk about them. I didn't really know what they were. And so I found myself wanting to not wake up, and I wanted to sleep and just not wake up maybe for weeks, and then wake up maybe like in a month's time or whatever it is. Not because I loved sleeping, but because there was no reason for me to wake up. I was in deep depression, and nothing really brought light to me anymore. I missed home, and then I felt like I was in this bubble where my brothers were in Canberra. I couldn't necessarily go home because that's not how it works. You move forward to the novitiate. And so it was around this time where I developed this deep devotion to our Mother Mary, and I started praying the Rosary quite profoundly in the first few weeks of having to go, okay, I need to do something about this depression that I feel. By the way, I still did not know what I was going through. I had no idea what the word depression was until I came to Canberra, and I was like, oh, that's what I was going through in the Philippines. I just knew I felt depleted. I just felt, worthless, And so in that space, in that time, I started praying the Rosary a lot, and just asking our Mother Mary to just be with me and to just help me. I journaled as well, and the time came, got the visa, and I flew to Canberra, and began my novitiate studies there. And it was beautiful just having to come into a new continent again, a third continent, in more than maybe 3 years, maybe, a new country, a new people. And I began to sort of make friends here, and it was beautiful until that extreme homesickness just caught up with me again for some reason. And now this was coupled with discernment sort of issues. Like I was beginning to wonder if I'm called, to be in a seminary. Now I loved what I did. I loved ministry. I loved, going out to parishes and playing music and leading youth groups. And, I loved all of that. But I wasn't sure if I was meant to do it in this context. And that was something I began to grapple with. And that was coupled with my extreme homesickness that just flared up again, And I went back into a much deeper place of depression. And I remember, for those who know, when you're in pain, you try to sort of find different ways to feel that emptiness that's inside of us, And for me, it was food. For some people, it's alcohol, and for some people, it's drugs, and for me, it was food. I was eating a lot, and man, it was so bad. Like it's so bad. I would sneak out of the house and go buy, McDonald's and go buy like KFC and stuff. Now, those things are not bad in and of itself, but when you begin to feast on those things and those things begin to replace, God inside of you, or try to fill a hole inside of you, then it becomes a problem. And so I was skipping prayers. I was staying up all night, eating junk food, and just really trying to fill that hole, and I try to, I try to, I try to speak up about it. I try to talk to, actually what happened was, Father Dave Callahan, great man, like he, one time came into my room and opened the cupboard, just, I don't know what led him there, but like he opened the cupboard and it was just like sort of stacks of junk food. And it was like, okay, John, are you going through something? You want to share with me? And I did open up to him. I told him I am in deep. I just feel yuck. And he got me through some counseling sessions with the counselor, and it wasn't clicking with me because, again, this is all new to me. This whole idea of counseling, and I begin to understand what depression or anxiety, those things were. They were all new to me, so I wasn't necessarily just full on embracing this counseling thing. So I was a bit hesitant. So I wasn't necessarily in full mode counseling in Canberra because, and I was at the same time just going through a lot. And so because of my unconventional start to the formation journey, I had to spend an extra 6 months as a professed brother, and I joined the MGL Sisters and went to South Australia with the MGL Sisters, doing in a mission with the Year of Youth mission team, with Therese and those lovely people. I remember when I was doing mission and doing ministry with them, I would look at like Tom Harvey or like Aiden Kirk or like Xavier Dureen and those guys, and just be like, or Nat. But like, I love what I love what we're doing. I love the ministry, but I want to do it like them. Like, they're lay people, not religious, not brothers or sisters, but they've given up their time to do this. And there was something about that just really inspired me. And so again, it just brought me to a place of questioning if I was really called to do ministry as a brother. And that again, mixed with the homesickness and depression I was going through at the time, I found myself going to schools, preaching about God's love, saying God loves you so much and everything, being joyful and happy. But inside of me, it was dark inside of me. I was, it's a massive hole that I was trying to fill and wasn't getting filled at all. And I was going through a lot. I was finding it's hard to just be and to be alive. It was something that was just dying inside of me. Even if I was going to schools and being happy and stuff, and that was very hard. Trying to like not pretend or perform, but like, it's like, do you really believe what you're preaching? I'm saying to people, God loves you, but I'm like, does he really? I question that for myself. Does God really love me? Because I'm going through a lot. I'm skipping prayers. I'm finding it hard to find Him. And so all of that, I took all of that to Melbourne to begin my seminary studies in Melbourne. I took all of that hurt, all of that pain, all of that searching and yearning, and all of that, darkness inside of me. And then Father Dan Strickland, the rector at the time, got me into this counseling program with a great counselor. And that was the time I began to really experience healing, and begin to understand and begin to name emotions and name what I was feeling inside of me, and after a while, I realized that I was called to be a lay missionary as opposed to be, a professed brother. And so I discerned my way out of the MGLs and began to, just minister with lay movements out there in the Archdiocese with great people. And today I'm, where I am today, and I'm grateful to God that He really sort of took me through that journey, and now when I look back on my life, I realize that He was with me the entire time. that God never left me, even though I felt like He wasn't there and I felt empty and I felt alone, God was with me, And I realized as well that a lot of the things I did not know were things that are quite common, A lot of us go through just different kinds of pain and sorrow within us. And it's really about allowing God to come in to those spaces and to do that either through counseling or either through spiritual direction, either through prayer ministry, whatever it is, allowing. For me, it was through counseling, because I had to go, okay, what is it that I'm going through right now, and have someone explain it to me. Oh, this is it, or this is that, and help me. And with that, I was able to bring God into that space and be healed. And so yeah, whatever you're going through, just to know that God is always with you, is never away from you. I remember when I was in South Australia, in the midst of the pain and the anguish, I went to this church, and on the sanctuary had this banner, and it read, I will be with you till the end of time. I will be with you till the end of time. Christ's word to His disciples. And that stuck with me till this day, that God is with us. Emmanuel, God is with us to the end, until the end of time. So I hope that you're able to find hope in the story, that no matter what you're going through, that God is with you. Always. He would never leave us. Pope Francis said, we are the ones who get tired of coming to Him. He's never tired of meeting us, of inviting us into His love. Thank you.